So hello guys, and welcome back to another analysis in our channel. Today we look at the Premier League clash that happened on Saturday, and that is the clash between Chelsea and Manchester City. So Chelsea traveled away at the Etihad, one of their most toughest fixtures in the season, and this went against our predictions here in this channel, and this went against the predictions of most Chelsea fans. So a lot of people expected Chelsea to go to the Etihad, myself included, and get absolutely obliterated by Manchester City. But the Chelsea performance we saw, especially in the first half, was a very good performance. And we're going to try to analyze how Chelsea managed to counter Man City. But we must look at the lineup. So the home side Manchester City lined up in a 4-1-4-1 system. And the lineup itself gave a lot of Chelsea fans a scare. Seeing players such as De Bruyne, Alvarez, and Foden and Doku in the team, and Haaland leading the line was quite a threat for Chelsea. On the other hand, Chelsea really lined up with a team that was full of injured players, and this was the team. Chelsea lined up in a 4-2-3-1 system, but the notable inclusion was Raheem Sterling, who came back into the team. And Raheem Sterling played quite well down the left, with Jackson leading the line, Palmer down the right, and Conor Gallagher playing as the number 10, as Chelsea needed extra legs, with Colwill partnering Disasi at the backline, which looked like a promising centre-back partnership. Gusto and Chilwell played at fullbacks, with Petrovic playing in goal. So the statistics of this game were quite interesting. Manchester City dominated the ball with close to 71% of possession, 31 shots, and only 5 shots on target, while Chelsea had 6 shots on target with just 9 shots. And the thing that looked threatening is that Chelsea looked to have more threatening chances to score than Manchester City. So we're going to try and look and understand why. So Guardiola and Pochettino faced again. And Pochettino, a manager who understands Pep very well, knew what he expected and actually did not play the way he played in the first leg against Manchester City. Because as I told you, if Chelsea played the way they played in the first leg, Manchester City will really punish them, especially with Kevin De Bruyne in the team. Before we even begin our analysis, do not forget to like, share and subscribe to our channel for more videos like this. So Manchester City, we are going to look at what Manchester City did in possession, what was their main tactic, and what brought them a lot of success in this game. We are going to look at their build-up as well as their attacking setup. So Manchester City looked to build up as usual, with one centre-back dropping in field, and that was Manuel Akanji. And what happened is that we saw Manchester City create a pseudo back four because Chelsea did not aggressively press high up the pitch, with Ederson stepping out to play as an extra centre-back, forming that back four. And Chelsea were quite conserved in their mid-block press, a very intelligent press where Chelsea lined up in a 4-2-4 system with their wingers playing quite narrow. You can see here the position of Ederson playing as a third centre-back, with Ruben Diaz playing as the right centre-back, as Manchester City tried to create that numerical advantage in midfield. So, because Pochettino expected Manchester City to try to play through the middle, he made sure that he crowded the center of the pitch, denying Manchester City any time and space in the middle, with Gallagher and Jackson being deployed to tie up the double pivots, where Gallagher would apply pressure using his cover shadow to try and cover Rodri. So when the ball would spring out wide, this would preempt Cole Palmer or Raheem Sterling to immediately latch on to either Nathan Ake or Kyle Walker during the build-up system. And this was quite an interesting move by Chelsea. So this would ensure that Manchester City are forced to play wide, where Chelsea would engage in an aggressive touchline press and look to try to win the ball. Now, Manchester City would bypass the first line of pressure in this case, and Chelsea will sit into a mid defensive block, and this will prompt Manchester City to form their back three system. This back three system was aided with the 3 centre backs, and Chelsea created a compact block 4-4-2 block that denied the likes of De Bruyne any chance in space in between the lines, allowing Manchester City only space down the wide areas. So, because Chelsea had created this shield in front of goal, this really stopped Manchester City from playing through the middle. And Chelsea's front line, who tied up the double pivots and looked to press the centre backs in possession, denying them time and on the ball, would see wingers pushing from the midfield region to press Manchester City's wide centre backs, denying them any space to try to progress the ball through the wide areas. You can see how aggressive Chelsea are in their press. Jackson is on Diaz, Sterling is covering both Akanji and Kyle Walker, while Gallagher is pushing towards Rodri with Cole Palmer on Nathan Ake. Now, Chelsea were relying heavily on 1v1, and sometimes in this game, Akanji was the only one allowed to have the ball. And why was Akanji allowed to have the ball? Because Akanji is not quite adventurous as John Stones, and even if he received the ball, he did not look to try and play those penetrative passes in the wide areas or in the channels. So even here, when Akanji received the ball, he would immediately get pressed by Raheem Sterling, and this would force him to play the ball backwards. As you see, De Bruyne is making that run to try and receive the ball in space and try to attack Chelsea's backline. Now, down the right, it was quite interesting, since when Foden received the ball, he will draw Ben Chilwell out of position, with De Bruyne looking to make that half-space run. But credit needs to go to Chelsea's center midfielders, especially Enzo Fernandez. Enzo Fernandez played quite well, tracking these runs of De Bruyne, though sometimes De Bruyne managed to make these runs, with Enzo failing to pick him up, giving Chelsea tons and tons of problems, especially trying to deal with the runs of Kevin De Bruyne. Now, down the right hand side, it was also quite interesting. So since Ake would receive the ball and immediately play the pass to Doku, Doku majority of the times will have a 1v1 against Gusto, and credit must go to Gusto. Gusto managed to hold Doku quite a lot, and this is also not to underestimate the impressive work that Cole Palmer did. So we know that Alvarez also wanted to make these half space runs, but Cole Palmer will ensure that he shifts across to double up on Jeremy Doku, and Cole Palmer will, and now Alvarez will receive the ball but only have to pass the ball backwards because he was not able to receive that ball in the half space. You can see here, Doku has received the ball, he's dragged the fullback out of position, and now Julian Alvarez is attempting to make that run in the box, even when Alvarez decided to make this run. Now, this was really problematic, and even sometimes what we started to see is Kevin De Bruyne actually shifting towards the left, where he will shift towards the left in this kind of space, attempt to receive the ball in these kinds of areas. And once he received the ball in these kinds of areas, we'll try that in swing across, especially to try to play in Haaland. You can see here De Bruyne has shifted from his right half space position, it's moving towards the left so that he can receive the ball directly from the center back. So he attempted these crosses, and Disasi was quite impressive in the air, but at sometimes Haaland will manage to win this battle. But luckily for Chelsea is that Haaland was not quite on form that day, and if he did score this goal, it would mean that Chelsea would actually have lost this game. Now, on the right hand side, it was also quite interesting, especially towards the second half. And the second half, we saw Alvarez coming off and Bernardo Silva coming into the team. And Bernardo Silva was quite well assured with the ball at his feet and playing that half space position in midfield. And Manchester City looked quite dynamic in the second half, since Bernardo Silva will receive this ball at a tight pressure and look to dribble past Caicedo. But down the right was where things were quite interesting, since now Akanji dropped to the backline and Walker now moved into a more overlapping position. And in this overlapping position, he will create problems with De Bruyne and Phil Foden all occupying the central areas of the pitch. Now, since Akanji will move as a third centre back, Walker will push forward, and now Rodri will be the only player deeper. So Manchester City now had close to a lot of overloads down the wide areas, with also De Bruyne shifting down the right. And this will enable De Bruyne to have space to at least attempt to make those crosses that he likes to make for Haaland. But again, Disasi was quite impressive in winning these aerial battles which were quite very problematic. And this also forced Pochettino to make a tactical change in the second half. These are some of the tactical changes that Pochettino made. We started to see Pochettino making subs, which I think he shouldn't have made, with Sterling coming off. When Sterling came off, Nkunku came on, with Jackson moving to the left wing. And Jackson at the left wing was working quite tirelessly compared to Sterling. He looked to track runners, but again, Pochettino wanted more solidity, especially from the crosses. He decided to bring Chalobah into the team. But I think it would have been better if maybe we had brought in Thiago Silva, who would have been much better than having Chalobah in that position. So Manchester City now, Chelsea not having enough attacking threat, will now give Manchester City the license now to push a lot of players forward. And Chelsea moving into a 5-4-1 will now see Manchester City leaving only 2 centre backs behind and committing as many as 8 players in front. And this is what was creating problems and actually made Manchester City score the goal at the 83rd minute, with Rodri scoring that goal. Now, let's look at what Chelsea did in possession. Though Chelsea, the main possession work was actually done in the first half. In the second half, it was more of trying to limit Manchester City. Now, in the second half, Chelsea will build with Petrovic dropping, spreading, with the centre back spreading on either side. You can see here Petrovic is having the ball and the centre backs are spreading wide, and Manchester City are pressing with a front 4. You can see the 4 men who are trying to press, and you can see the position of De Bruyne and Haaland in the press. So Chelsea's fullbacks were free to receive the ball in this case, and what will happen is that what we will see is that Palmer will be dropping deep to create that 3-man midfield, and you can see here that Doku is being given 2v1 situations, whether he should press Disasi or he should allow Cole Palmer to receive the ball in between the lines. But Disasi manages to play the ball to Cole Palmer. So when Palmer received the ball in this situation, he will try to look to beat his man and attempt to play passes quickly. Since he will draw Nathan Ake in field, what we will see is that Jackson will be making that run behind him, and that's what actually contributed to Chelsea's first goal, the right overload created by the movements of Cole Palmer. This will see Palmer play this ball directly to Nicholas Jackson, who will be making that run. And once Jackson will be making this run, you will see this is where he now played a crossfield pass to Raheem Sterling. And this situation, Sterling should have scored. And that is actually what made even Jackson miss the second chance. But down the left is where Chelsea had also quite interesting tactics, as Petrovic would look to be playing the ball on to Ben Chilwell, especially via Colwill or directly to Ben Chilwell. And when Ben Chilwell will receive this ball, he will receive the ball in acres of space. And once he will receive the ball in acres of space, what we will see is Jackson will be dropping deeper and Sterling will be making that run behind Manchester City's defense line. You can see here Sterling is making that run, and if Sterling was much more clinical in this position, he would have managed to score a goal, because Manchester City were trying to tie up these spaces in behind. Now, also another interesting thing to look at in this pressing shape is that Ben Chilwell was not afraid to be playing balls down the channels, because down the channels is where Raheem Sterling was making crosses, and here is where Raheem Sterling made a cross that Jackson should have just finished. So Pochettino would be very happy with the draw. Everybody would have taken the draw in the beginning of the game. But the way we saw the game, Chelsea should have actually managed to walk out with 3 points. If Sterling and Jackson finished their chances in the first half, then Chelsea would have won this game comfortably in the first half. So Pochettino managed to contain Pep for close to 80 minutes. And Pep managed to nick a draw, and Chelsea are quite lucky to get with a draw, but they actually played well. Manchester City, on the other hand, will feel wasted based on the chances they did not manage to convert, and this has given them a setback in their quest to win their 4th Premier League title in a row. If you've enjoyed this video, do not forget to like, share, and subscribe. Thanks for watching.